Hi fairies, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Fifi. It's so nice to have you here. I hope you stay a while. Today's video is going to be a very chill, very calm one. Nothing too deep, nothing too serious because we are going to be doing a mood reading vlog. I am just going to take the next few days and read whatever I want to read whenever I want to read, okay? Because my past few videos have been like challenge type videos and I've like actually curated books to fit those videos and it just felt like a little bit much. It felt like I've been reading for the sake of the video and not for my own enjoyment. So this video is going to be very much focused on what I want and my mood in real time. And yeah, we're just going to see how that pans out. I do have the first book I would like to read for this video. This is The Little Cafe of Second Chances by J.D. Barrett. It is a woman's fiction, if I'm not mistaken, something of a chick lit. And the blurb says, Lizzie Muir is leaving her husband. It's complicated. As joint owners and chefs at one of the best restaurants in town, making a clean break is tough. But let's face it, a woman can only take so much cheating, recipe stealing, and lack of good grace. Yikes. Then Lucy happens upon an old empty building that was once the city's hottest restaurant, Fortune. One minute she's peering through grimy windows into an abandoned space, the next she's planning a pop-up bistro. When Lucy fires up Fortune's old kitchen, she discovers a little red recipe book that belonged to the former chef, the infamous Frankie Summers. As Lucy cooks her way through Frankie's recipes, customers come flocking, and slowly Lucy begins to regain her confidence. It turns out that courage, passion, and just a tiny bit of magic might be the secret recipe for a second chance at happiness. So this very much feels like a food-centered book and a cozier type of book where I can just like wind down every day for the next few days. And I'm actually really excited to get into it. I'm going to read the first chapter now and give you guys my initial thoughts. So I've just finished chapter one and I am very intrigued by this book so far. Obviously, I can tell that it's going to be very much food centered, as I've said. Our main character, Lucy, is very much in love with food and everything surrounding food. She's more into like the savory aspect of it, the creation of food in itself. And obviously, that's kind of real to be so in love and obsessed with food. I mean, I find that quite relatable. I also am messing with the writing. It's in first person POV and it feels very conversational. It feels like this main character is talking to us and telling us things that just happened. And yeah, I'm intrigued and interested in seeing how that goes on for the rest of the book. But this first chapter was like very informational. I felt very info dumpy. It wasn't like dialogue heavy whatsoever. And I don't know how I feel about that because I do like more dialogue in my books, but like first chapter obviously we will definitely get more dialogue as we go on. It seems like every chapter or every few chapters are going to get different recipes because after chapter one we got like a recipe for chili dogs, which is which is actually, it looks good. Like I might have to try it because it seems like tea. But yeah, I have no actual thoughts right now. Like I said, just one chapter. So how do you form thoughts from one chapter? I'm going to settle in, read this, and whatever happens, I will let you guys know. It seems like food is the thing that she holds on to the most, the one constant thing in her life. Her mom is like present obviously in her life but very like wishy-washy. They lived in a commune, it was just not the best thing for her, but food has always been that one thing that has been there for her apparently. So that's very like interesting and I'm interested in seeing how we explore that feeling throughout this book. I have to say something I'm very like confused about is the fact that she owned a restaurant with her husband and she seems to be very into like the restaurant business. So how come she didn't know about this restaurant that closed down? Like a very popular chef worked there, very famous chef. How come she didn't know about it? How come she's just seeing it for the first time? And she has lived in this place for a while. Like I'm kind of confused. I don't know if I'm glossing over like the explanation for that, but I don't know. So I spoke a little bit too soon. The chapter I just read just explained, the question that I had. and it makes much more sense. The restaurant actually closed down in 1982 and was open for a while since the 70s. So it definitely makes sense that she wasn't really aware of its existence until she recently saw it. So, yeah. Hey guys, I'm currently about 50% through this book. I'm currently on page 160. I'm entering chapter 32, and I have a plethora of thoughts about this book, okay? And a lot of them are very contradictory because, on one hand, I'm quite liking this book for what it is, and on the other hand, I'm getting like a bit, I don't know if I would say icked out or just like confused by the whole situation and how it's playing out. And I really don't know how I genuinely feel about it all. So, like I said, the writing of this book is very conversational, okay? It feels like she's literally speaking to us, our main character, that is. And I do like that because there's a lot of humor infused into it, but there's also like some confusing things about the writing, okay? I think this book is based in Australia, and so there's a lot of like Australian speak and slangs that I. That is very confusing. I feel like, yes, it's good to write about your culture and all that, but at some point, I'm like what are we even talking about right now? They're very like specific slangs that I'm not following and understanding. But aside from that, I do like the writing. There are so many like hard hitting one liners that I've underlined throughout this book. I do really like our main character Lucy. She's very like conflicted, obviously, because she's going through this divorce and she does not know, what path to take in her life right now. And she's trying to open this pop-up restaurant. And yeah, things things don't go smoothly at all, but at the end of the day it kind of works out. But there's also somebody who seems to be our main character. I don't want to spoil it, but the way he's introduced is just like funny and very confusing as well, because I don't know if I like him a lot. He is like, I don't know if I'll call it morally gray, but he's not he's not my pick for a man I would like to be involved with. Okay. He's very self-centered, or would I say was? I mean, if you read this book, you understand why I'm saying was, but he isn't like the best person ever. But I do think we're going to see a huge character arc, and he's going to have like a lot of character development. Like we're already seeing a bit of that so far. I do like the banter that we have with our female main character, and I definitely see the chemistry there. But also, there's something that has been revealed, and I don't know how all that is going to pan out. And I actually have no idea how the story is going to end. Like the point we are at now, I'm like, what more can happen and what more will happen? Like, we have so much more left of this book. Like, where is this going to go to? And I'm kind of wary about that. But generally, I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. It's not my favorite thing ever. But for what it is, I am quite enjoying it. Also, I will say that they have been a number of typographical errors, which if you've watched any of my videos, you know that that's one thing I really do not like to see in books. But I mostly don't like it in popular books where the authors have like huge publishers and a plethora of editors at their beck and call. But I think this book is like a very indie book, and I want to assume that the author just wasn't privy to good editors, or like editors at all, and maybe this was like traditionally or like personally published. I don't know. So I do want to give her the benefit of doubt with that one. But also I think this book was written in like 2012, 2013. I'm not quite sure, but like around that time frame. And it definitely reads like so. There's a lot of early 2010s, I don't know if I would call it slang or just way of speaking and interacting. It's like very millennial almost. And yeah, it's not my favorite thing ever. But generally I'm liking it. Okay. I'm going to keep reading, and yeah, I will let you guys know whatever happens. I do think the next time I talk to you guys, I would have finished the book, and then I'll give you my final thoughts and my review and rating. So, yeah. Hi guys, I haven't spoken to you in a bit and I know I look very interesting right now. Let's not even talk about it. Okay, I'm high key struggling, high key going through it. But we will finish this video today. Okay. I did finish this book, I actually finished it yesterday, and I will say that I really liked it. Everything that I say generally still stands because I thought it was a really good book for what it was. And honestly, if the writing was just a tad bit better, if it was just a little bit more seamless, a little bit less like disjointed in my opinion, I would have liked him more. And also if there was like another editing session or maybe two, it could have been a lot better than it was. But I actually liked it for what it was. I enjoyed the overall premise. I thought it was very interesting when I was going into it, and while reading it was a bit annoying and a bit like confusing and outlandish and just like this doesn't make any sense, this is so unrealistic. But generally it was a good story. I guess the ending was also quite like outlandish as hell. I was like, no freaking way. Like this is like obviously it's a romance book that already had that premise from the beginning. And so I should have expected it to be outlandish and just unrealistic and not very smart. Not very based on anything really intellectual, to be honest. But the book in itself, the writing I thought was very intellectual, very lyrical. There were very nice, beautiful, hard hitting quotes, one liners, even paragraphs in this book that I underlined and honestly will take with me forever. So yeah, I thought the writing was so good and I would like to check out more of this author's work. But I just think this book wasn't my favorite thing ever. I think I'm going to give it a 3.5, 3.75 maybe because I liked it. I just wish that it could have been a little bit better. So that's that about that. The second and final book I actually already started for this video, which you've probably seen by now, is this one, Under One Roof by Samantha Tonje. I don't know. But yeah, it is a women's fiction, if I'm not mistaken. Like I thought this one, The Little Cafe of Second Chances, was women's fiction. And yes, it was in a sense, but it was also very much contemporary romance, very much like magical realism type romance. But this in itself, I'm pretty sure, is very much a women's fiction, literary fiction. And apparently, it follows three women. We have the mother, or the grandmother, the mother, and then the daughter. I guess that's what we refer to them as. And basically, Faye and her daughter Robin have been like at odds for a very long time since they were very little. I actually don't know if I'm going to explain it well enough, so let me just read the synopsis. It says one forgotten discovery will change three women's lives forever. Robin hasn't been home for decades. After running away to London, she never expected to see her cankerous mother Faye begin. But when Faye has a fall, the two women are thrown together once more. The years apart have not made their hearts grow fonder, and the ground between them is unsteady. Then Robin finds an unopened scroll, the last of the treasure hunt her much missed father used to take them on every Sunday, a hunt he believed might change everything. Yet, not even this gift from her beloved father can smooth the way until Robin's daughter, Amber, arrives to meet her grandmother for the first time. Amber is determined that the decades old mystery be solved. Can a 30-year-old treasure hunt really change everything? I guess we will find out. But I actually already started it. I'm currently on page 36, chapter 6, and I won't say that I'm liking it, but it's going smoothly so far. Obviously, I'm just 30 pages in. There's not much to really hold on to just yet, but I will say that I like the writing. I like how simplistic it is but still quite hard hitting. It's not lyrical by any means, nothing too deep or serious or hard to understand, but I am quite liking the writing. I'm also liking where the story seems to be going right now. We are at the point, or I am at the point, where she has just found this scroll that her father left her, but none of them want to actually like go through with it. I guess they will when her daughter comes into the picture. So I'm excited to see how all this unfolds. I really have been leaning towards whole women's fiction, literary fiction side of things recently because I think, or I feel like that's what I am resonating with the most these days. But yeah, this is going to be the final book read in this video because I want to film a 24-hour readathon. Pray for me with that. But yeah, I would like to finish this book today so I can get on with that. So let's crack on. I forgot to add the two times that I have spotted something that I did not really like with the writing, and I don't know if there are typographical errors, but this is something that has been recurring in books lately. Okay, commas, the lack of commas in books lately, and this is such a niche thing. I feel, I'm just somebody that is very intent on things like that, and there are several places where commas should be in this book and even in the last book I just read. and it was just not there. And I'm like, huh? And I literally had to look it up because I knew I wasn't like tripping. Like if a sentence starts with instead, for example, and that sentence is trying to give more information about the prior sentence or statement, then the instead should have a comma right after it. Like this has happened multiple times in this book and in the last book that I read, Little Cafe of Second Chances. And it's actually pissing me off because what is going on? Is it the author's problem? Like, is it the editor's? Like, does nobody know this? Is this like something only I know? Like, I feel very like, I don't want to say elitist or like something, but I feel like this should be something you know as an author. And as somebody that wants to be an author, I'm just like, huh? I got very intense there. Sorry. But yeah, that's just one thing I kind of clocked with the writing so far. And yeah, if I look the other way, there's really nothing that I am not liking about the writing. It's very simplistic, I would say, but also very informative, intellectual, intentional, a bit info dumpy at several points. But yeah, this is going well, I think. Hey guys, ignore how funny I look right now, but I realized that I kind of left you guys off on a cliffhanger with this video. I haven't really filmed since, yeah, the last clip I filmed for this video. It's been like a couple of days since I last filmed for this video, and the truth is that, first of all, I sprained my wrist. I'm going to put it on the screen so you guys can see it. But yeah, that happened, and then I fell sick, and just a lot has been going on, and I didn't get to update you guys, but I was reading while all this was happening. I was reading from time to time, anytime that I had time. So I did finish the book that I started with you guys in this video, Under One Roof by Samantha Tong. This book, I don't even know where to start from. It is okay. I think it was a very decent and solid book, especially as a women's fiction, as a chick lit type book. I think it really hit the mark in so many instances. I will say, when it comes to the writing, I did not love the writing that much. I thought it was, somewhat lyrical and intentional, and you know, obviously, this is a good author and an author that knows what she's doing, knows how to play around with grammar and English as a whole. But I just did not like the structure of it all. I didn't like the way she was going about the story. Um, I liked how we had some letters that our main character was sending to somebody, incorporated into the book. And then at the end of the book, we found out that she was actually not sending it to the person she thought she was sending it to. But it was a whole thing. Okay, I don't want to spoil it, but I really liked how that was incorporated. I also liked the characters. They were very flawed in their own ways. I didn't necessarily connect to any one of them because I don't know, they were all just not people I personally see myself in. Okay, our main character is like 40 something years old, and she, left her hometown, left her mother after her father died. She and her mother have always had like a rocky relationship, and once her father died, obviously everything went to shit, and then she never contacted her mother again after that. And just so much happened in her life, and she has to come back 30 years later to her mom's house, to this town, and she basically has to revisit all her ghosts, okay, the ghosts that she ran away from, essentially. It's so funny because I don't know why, the way it was written, it felt like our main character had no idea of the concept of time. Like she was acting like 30 years is like 30 days or something. Like, girl, it's been 30 years. Yes, all the people you knew from back then have changed. Some have died, some have gotten married, had children. Like, what did you expect? She's being so shocked about like human changes that nobody would be surprised would happen in a year. But to talk of 30 years, and she's just like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Like, girl, come on, you're too old to be doing all this. Like, I don't know, it was very annoying the way she was acting with all that, acting like 30 years, like, was nothing. The way she was talking about her childhood. Yes, I get that. She kind of had a stunted childhood, I guess I would say, because just a lot happened that I don't want to spoil, obviously. But there's no way some of these things are like I don't know how to explain it. Like it's just not reasonable. It's just not believable. didn't feel very realistic in my opinion. Like some of the clothes that she still went back to and was still wearing around, and I don't know, I just feel like some of those things could have decomposed or should have decomposed like 30 years. I don't know. I don't know about all that. But yeah, I think generally the story was very cute. How her and her mother and her daughter came together to solve this one final riddle that her father left 30 years ago, which they just found. And, I don't know, it was a whole thing, but the way that they were able to work together and you know, solve it and in the process fix each of their relationships. I thought that was very beautiful and just cute overall. So I did give this book 4 stars. I'm talking about it like I didn't like it, but I did like it. I enjoyed it for what it was. And if I want to be really nitpicky, I would say like 3.75, 3.5. But I was just like, whatever, 4 stars. Yeah, it could have been a 5 star honestly if there were just some changes, but that's like personal to me. Obviously, a lot of people most likely will feel differently. Now I want to talk about a book that I did not read in this video. I actually did not read it at all. I just listened to the audiobook for 3 hours straight. I actually just laid on my bed staring at the ceiling with headphones on, listening to the audiobook of this book for 3 hours straight, which is something that I never do. Okay, I'm usually like either playing a game or sourcing things out like when I'm listening to audiobooks. But I just laid there right after I finished this book. I just saw that audiobook and I was like, okay, sure. And I'm going on this whole tangent and I haven't even told you what the book is, but it's Animal Farm by George Orwell. This is a historical fiction, a political fiction, if you will. And I have a plethora of things to say about this book, but for want of time, I will, try to shorten my thesis concerning this book. I love this book, to say the least. Like, I loved it. It's a relatively short book. Like I said, the audiobook was, I think, like 4 or 5 hours, and I read on like 1.5 or 1.75 speed, and I finished it in like 3 hours. So, yeah, it's a short book, but it was so freaking impactful. Like, so impactful, so hard hitting. I spent another hour after after reading this book or after listening to it, just thinking and thinking and analyzing and researching about the hidden themes. There were a lot that I obviously understood and picked up on, but I wanted to know the hidden themes and what other people thought about this book. And it was it was just something. Okay, this is a classic by George Orwell. I definitely want to read more of George Orwell's books because when it comes to his writing, it's nothing like too deep. At least for this book, it's nothing lyrical, nothing deep, nothing overextensive. It's just straightforward to the point. But there was something about it. There was something about the structure, the flow, how it flowed seamlessly, essentially, that I just resonated with. It was just a beautiful story. It felt like somebody was telling me this story. Like, it felt like a myth, I guess I would say. It felt like just a folklore of sorts, and a very impactful, a very important folklore, if you will. So basically, this book is about farm animals. And right off the bat, we are thrown right into it. We are introduced to the owner of this farm, who is actually a reckless, careless farmer. He doesn't take care of the animals as well as he should. He's very careless, nonchalant. He's a drunk also, so he's reckless with all that. And yeah, one particular night, all the animals come together, they have a meeting, and one of the animals, basically says, we should start a rebellion. Like, we should fight against this. We are not being treated well. We are just being used for, man and what man needs and what man wants. Nobody ever thinks of us in this equation. And obviously the rebellion does not start right as that animal says that. I actually don't know why I cannot remember. I think it was a pig, like one of the main pigs, Major, I think was his name. And after that, obviously the rebellion did not start until a while later. I think a couple years later. Eventually the rebellion happens, the animals rebel, they basically chase the humans away from the farm and they take over the farm. Okay, so the farm becomes their home or town. I guess you'd say. And then, unfortunately, because this book is an allegorical masterpiece depicting humans and human nature, human behavior, the rebellion is taken over by one of the pigs who believes that he is higher than the rest. He turns it into this whole totalitarian government system where basically all the animals now have to work for him and provide what he needs, and he is just the one in charge, the one that everybody, looks up to and follows after, essentially. And so this rebellion that was initially a revolution and a search for freedom turns into basically the same thing that they were running away from. Okay, they become slaves once again, but for somebody just like them who just believes that he is better than the rest of them. This was just a very, very amazing and important depiction of human beings and how the search and need for power will always unfortunately trump everything else, trump, empathy for your fellow, humans or animals in this situation. And how when you gain that power that you are in search for, it basically gets to your head and you just do things that maybe you wouldn't have done if you didn't have that power, or maybe you still would have done, but you didn't know it was inside you until you got this power. Like, it's a whole beautiful masterpiece that opens, you know the floor for a lot of discussions about a lot of different topics. And I loved how this book not only employed one of my favorite literary devices, which is allegory, with the depiction of, the Russian rebellion and the Stalinist era of the Soviet Union. That was basically what he was trying to portray, but also you can see a lot of that in today's day and age with the American government and governments, everywhere these days, to be honest. But he also employed a literary device that I did not know that I cared for until this book, which is anthropomorphism, the depiction of human characters or qualities or traits um, on or by non-human objects, animals, things. And yeah, I just loved how every single animal, every single character in this book, you know, portrayed various humans in real life. I just loved every aspect of this book, to be honest. Like, thinking back on it now, I'm like, wow, that was a book. Like, the way propaganda was represented in this book and the way in which propaganda is embedded and spread to the members of the public and members of the state in this book is very like representative of what we see in today's day and age in America, like with TikTok, and just how they are basically trying to influence people and almost brainwash people with the media these days. Is actually so freaking insane. And the way that this book talks about it without even knowing what's to come is just, it's crazy. And I honestly cannot get enough of it, to be honest. And also, it kind of reminded me of the Hunger Games, especially Sunrise on the Reaping and Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, because we see in real time how propaganda is used to influence and diminish the suffering of the people that were in these Hunger Games. Like, I'm actually just going on a tangent now. Okay, I'm thinking back on the book and I'm trying to analyze more things, even though I have done this a number of times before. So that's very obvious or very evident, evidential, evidentiary. That just shows how much I loved this book. Okay, if you are looking for a quick book to get through while you are maybe just cleaning or doing random things, I would definitely recommend the audiobook. It was just so good. It felt like a story, like I said, like a folklore was being told to me. And I just really enjoyed every aspect of it. And I think everybody needs to read it. It's a very important book in this day and age. And I think anybody at all, anybody that can read should read it. So yeah, that's my little wrap up for this video. Sorry that it wasn't as long or as, flawless or seamless or just, I don't know, better than I would have liked. But thank you so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. I hope you had a great time regardless. Yeah, talk to me in the comments. I love reading and replying comments. It's one of my favorite pastimes. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and also follow me on Instagram if you want to be book besties or just besties in general. But for now, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.